Good evening, everyone. Welcome to my YouTube channel. Miss Fierce here from the Fierce Trade House. So this is my weekly analysis. Like I said last week, I'm back, and hopefully I'll be able to help contribute to, just your trading week in terms of your setups. So, like I said, I love the indices, specifically US 30. And then my second love is NAS. So I used to like NAS, but I really love US 30 for various reasons, and because of my goals as a trader. So we are looking at Sundays. Is it Sunday? I'm looking at July, so I want to go back. Sunday, 16th June, right? The market opened. So we see that on the 14th, previous high here, right? This was the previous Friday high. So what we see with US 30, right? What happened? I didn't trade this week, guys. Okay, so let me just be honest. I wasn't able to. And usually if I'm not able to enter a live trade, I don't like giving trades because then it means I'm not really paying attention and I'm not as keen. But if I enter a live trade and then I give you a trade, if I give you a trade setup, like usually what I said is I'll try and share some of my trade setups every week. So if I share as a trade setup in my Fierce Trade House community on Telegram, chances are very high I'm in that trade. If I don't share, just know I'm not in the market. Chances are pretty high I'm not in the market. So last week I didn't get into the market, but I want to do this comparison with US 30 vis-a-vis NAS so that you guys can just see the correlations between the two pairs, because I think they're really good assets to trade if you like pairs that move fast. So we have Friday high, 14th, and then the Sunday open. And then what we see is there was a bit of consolidation. Now, what happened on Friday was, and this is for both pairs, we see an impulse move. So that's why I've marked this chart the way I've marked it out like this. We see price just pushing up, right? And then we see a bit of a consolidation and tapering out of price towards the market close on Friday. And then we see it consolidating most of Monday London session. Then there was, during the New York session, there was an impulse to the upside. And then what happened is we broke structure here. So I've marked this a bit differently because here for me, this was just to tell me there's a break of structure. Now, what I had initially anticipated was that price would, I was thinking that price would drop at some point, but this here really gave me a sign that, okay, price is breaking structure and we may continue to go up. And then we see these impulses here. So if I look at NAS, same thing. NAS, we can see same thing, swing high. We consolidated in the London. During the New York, we pushed up, okay? And then we took out the Friday high and we can see kind of an impulse here. Now, I actually thought, right, that price would actually drop. It didn't quite do that, okay? So my assumption was it will tap into this imbalance. There's an imbalance here. So so let me just explain. Any yellow boxes, basically, those are my imbalances. The red boxes are the order blocks that I'm seeing in the market. Now, if you don't know what those are, possibly talk about that in my maybe future videos, but I actually talk about this in my Forex class, which is a digital, I have a recording of my digital Forex class. If you want access to that, I can give it to you. Just hit me up in the DM. Yeah, so, because I go through all that. So this here, for me, I was like, okay, price will come and tap in. So it did, right? And you can see this entry. And then it dropped. Now, I actually thought it would drop like 200 points. We only dropped about, let's say, about 100, okay? Now, what I missed was this impulse move here. We can see like a bit of an impulse move here, and then there was another one here. So we can see that price is not just, when I say impulse, it's not just going up gradually, it's kind of putting bursts of pressure to the upside. And then what happened here with this last two candles here, it kind of took out structure the swing high here, and basically broke structure. So that was kind of an indication that we would pull back after taking out liquidity and then continue. But I didn't see that then. And that's the thing, sometimes when the market is live, it can be tricky to see everything. In hindsight, things always make sense. So had I entered this trade or called it out, guys would have been stopped at some point. They would have gotten like 100 points. And if you were thinking that it was going to go until 200 points, you'd have really been stopped out. So, at 50 points, because I usually just put 50 points as a baseline for my stop losses. So that's NAS. And if I compare it, because we're doing this with US 30, same thing happened, right? Friday high was taken out, broke structure, and then it tapered out. And then during the New York on Tuesday, this happened. So I placed this as just a placeholder to just see, okay, fine. Like I said, I didn't trade. I was just watching the market on and off in between work. And what we see is, I was right. We actually got to the 400 points. This was on Tuesday. If you had entered this, you would have gotten out at 400 points on Wednesday at 10. So it triggered around Tuesday, New York, and then all the way to, so about a 24-hour trade, right? For 400 points, which I think is pretty good. Like if you are into intraday trading or day trading, I think this is a good setup to take. Like I like to take the longer trades these days because I'm not always in front of my laptop like I used to be before when I used to have my signals going on. So that's that. So back to NAS, we see the same impulse happening. So we break structure, and usually for NAS, I look for about, let's say, 200 points, but we didn't quite get there. We got to about 183 points, right? Which is not bad. Yeah, so, and again, we got there the next day on Wednesday. So that's basically it. Now, the interesting thing with NAS, unlike US 30, which I'm just noticing now, is if you look at structure, and that is where now you have to apply all the knowledge that you have as a trader, right? We see really significant impulsive breakout moves. So unlike US 30 NAS that dropped after it broke out and decided dropping down, US 30 continued pushing. Understandably, it took out the Wednesday high and then it started. So what I'm anticipating is that we have some imbalances here that were left behind with this impulse. Chances are price will drop into the imbalances, bounce off of that, take out the Friday high, and then I'll be looking for it to, let's say, mirror NAS, because NAS just dropped while US 30 was consolidating. So if you look at NAS here, you're just seeing those significant drop. And then we see for US 30, it really just consolidated. I mean, there were drops here and there, but it was consolidating. And then finally, there was this mini drop here. It's not mini, because if you look at it from a points perspective, this is significant, possibly, oops, sorry. What am I looking at? Sorry, guys. Sorry about that. So possibly dropped, this is what? If I look at this is about 130 points. So it's not a small move, but for US 30, it could be. But if you look at NAS, we really on Friday, we didn't really do much, but the week from Wednesday was very bearish. Unlike US 30 that, we were in consolidation mode from Wednesday. So we did kind of drop, but the reason being is we broke structure here. Unlike, what's this? NAS, we didn't quite take out, you see, this is a Tuesday high, Wednesday high, and then we now took out the low of Wednesday, right? While US 30 was taking out the high of Wednesday. So that's there was a bit of an inversion. I think the market there was inversely correlated. Yeah, which sometimes can happen. So that's why it's so important to pay attention to structure. So for me, when I'm looking at US30 now, that's my bias. Like I'm looking at price dropping into these imbalances, and either the first or the second. So I'm going to wait and see what happens, and then bouncing off of that, maybe pushing higher. If we take out the Friday high, I'll be waiting to see how that happens to make a decision with regards to it. But I'm really thinking that, just looking at the structure before market close, it was beginning to look bearish. There's a bit of a break of structure here. So we probably will continue. So we may bounce off of that, come back and pick up the imbalances here. There's an imbalance up here, right? So I'll anticipate to bounce into that and then now drop, right? Maybe we might push up, but I'm really just thinking, okay, this would be a good setup, push down, push up, and then drop, right? But it's one of those things that I would have to see how the market opens on Monday. So that's that, guys. So for NAS, let me see. Let me look left. I don't know what's happening with NAS. We took out liquidity here on Friday. We took out the Thursday low. What's interesting about NAS, we see Wednesday low was taken out here. This was a really good, and we see structure. So for NAS, we can see there was a structure break here, right? So what we see is price broke down, just for you guys to see. When you see an impulse like this, chances are that takes out structure. Chances are price will come and try and fill out the imbalance and continue to drop. So had I seen this when I should have seen it, because I wasn't looking at NAS, this happened on Thursday. We had a break of structure. We also had a break of structure here. So again, what we see is price broke down, retested, and tapped into the imbalance, right? So there's an imbalance happening over here. It's quite significant, I think. I mean, all these are imbalances, but usually I say, when you see a drop like this, try not to get in at the lower percentile, get above the 50 percentile of the range. So this is a good place to enter. And we can see price came just above into the second imbalance, tapped into it, and then dropped. It did come back to fill out this order block. You can see an order block was left here, and then it dropped. Now, when it dropped, it took out structure. So this is significant. So even if you missed all this, this would have been another entry position for you, and you'd have comfortably taken 200 points off of that. Let me just see if I'm accurate by saying that. Yeah, exactly. This is 200. It literally dropped 245 points. Yeah, so I have explained this in my classes. That's, I have recordings for my past Forex advanced classes. If you want access to that, just DM me and I'll be able to give you information on how to access those. So that's it, guys. So when I talk about the week this week, I was looking at NAS to just see what's kind of happening. It's just looking like it's kind of breaking down. But I'm going to want to wait and see what happens on market open, because I'm just looking at, we have the swing low here on Friday, we have the swing high here on Friday. So this is basically the range of the market I'll be interested in to see, will we push higher or lower? I think for me, I just want to see what happens on market open with NAS. NAS is not looking as, we can see the bear, it's really bearish. I mean, it's just giving me bearish structure, right? So we may continue to push lower. We may push up to clear some imbalances and then continue to the downside. But I want to see that, and I want to see what happens when the market opens later on at 6 p.m. New York time, which would be probably our 2 a.m. Kenyan time. Yeah, so I may not be as clear with NAS, but with US 30, I think I have a clue on how it's gonna go down. So guys, I hope that has been helpful. Let's see. I don't trade gold, but I haven't looked at this gold in a long time. But it's kind of following the same structure that NAS has been, Wednesday it dropped, which is so interesting. The correlation with gold that was happening last week from Wednesday. So what we see basically is the market opened bullish and then topped up on Wednesday and then dropped. And kind of makes sense. This was Tuesday high, took that out and then dropped. And then we see a break of structure happening here. So again, I'm just following structure as a baseline. We see a break of structure. We see the swing low, swing high, and then we see price just dropping and taking that out. So when I see that, for me, I'm just saying, okay, where is the nearest imbalance? We see an order block up here, right? I don't really see an imbalance. So I would be searching. So we pushed up again. So I'll probably be waiting. And then what happens here? We took out structure, pushed up again. So really, let me extend this. We finally broke down again. So I didn't find any imbalance for a potential entry. Like if I look here, I don't see any, I just see order blocks. And for me as a rule, I enter trades on the imbalance. So it tapped into this imbalance here. So it broke structure and literally took out all the structure levels, right? And so it took out all the structural levels there. So we have this swing low here, this one that caused the swing high, broke it down and then came back up. So there are imbalances here. So this was a good opportunity to either enter there, or usually I look at the first one to be safe. So if you take the first one, there'll be a bit of a pullback and then we drop. So I'm anticipating that just based on that, I feel like we could drop some more on market open. That would be my expectation, which makes sense because that would be my expectation, that would just continue to just drop. Yeah. And possibly because we have pending liquidity downside here, we have some order blocks here. So I'm just like, okay, this swing low, which covers this entire range, we may be targeting it before we see price pushing. And the interesting thing is just thereabouts at the 200 points mark, we have this imbalance, this order block here. Just show the difference. So price may bounce off of this. So I hope that makes some sense. Yeah, but we'll see how the market opens on Monday. That's it for today, guys. I don't want to spend too much time on this. I hope this was helpful. I hope it was. And yeah, hopefully if I see a setup this week, tomorrow, Kenyan time, round London session, I will be looking at the charts to see if we can have a really nice, clean 200 to 400 point move. Yeah, so see you soon, guys. Bye.